Hi, everybody. This is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com. The cannabis sector's been on a really nice bounce. Had been up 6 days in a row for the ticker symbol MJ, the marijuana ETF, and then followed through with a seventh up day again today. And then there was a nice rocket fuel got added to the cannabis sector today when news came out that Jeff Sessions is out and there's going to be a new attorney general to be taking his place. And the consensus is that he's going to restore the Cole memorandum, and that's going to be beneficial to the cannabis sector. And so it's going to keep the federal government from interfering with the states in their cannabis businesses. So this is a very big positive for the United States cannabis sector. Canada has been on fire. They just had their legalization, and now this is going to step the United States ahead, and it's going to really build some momentum here. So this is exactly what needed to happen. It was perfect timing. The charts were signaling that they were starting to get a little frothy, and they might take a breather. There were some black candles across the board, with resistance being hit and with multiple gap up opens, and so it was looking like possibly it was going to take a breather, maybe pull back, but then news will trump the charts. And so the big news out today from the White House, that ended up being the news that everybody's been waiting for. It's just, you never know when it's going to happen. That's why it pays to stay engaged in the market, because if you're engaged, that's when you're able to take advantage of opportunity when it presents itself. And so here's ticker symbol MJ, the alternative harvest ETF, closed up 7% today. Now check out RSI. It's at 55. Now it's above 50. Now it's back in the bull zone. See, it dropped below 50 during the pullback here. And so now that it's back above 50, that's signaling the bulls are taking back control. Similar to back here when it got above 50, and then it had a nice big push, stayed above 70 for quite some time. And so now you want to see RSI stay above 50. If it can stay above 50, that should signal that the cannabis sector is back in control with the bulls. If it drops back below 50, that would signal the bears are still around and there's still some consolidation to be had. Now Fasto is back above 50 as well. You want to see it get above 80 and then stay above 80, similar to back here when it had the big run and it was pushing really hard above EMA 4. Fasto was above 80. Now check out plus DI here on 80x. It had crossed over already above 80x, the black line, the green line crossed over the black line, and then it crossed over the red line. And so that's a sign that the bulls are taking control. And so we want to see that green line stay above the red and the black line on 80x. Today there was a bullish close above two key resistance levels. It was hitting the middle Bollinger Band yesterday at 34.89. That's the dotted purple line. And so it was needing to break that level. If you look here, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap ups in a row yesterday, and it was hitting middle Bollinger Band resistance. Wasn't sure if it was going to be able to break or not. That's a lot of white candles in a row and a lot of green volume bars. Nothing goes straight up. Everything takes a breather at some point. Once you get multiple gap ups like that, usually you get a pause. So this is a very extended move to the upside. Okay, so you always have to be on the lookout for them taking a breather when that happens. Okay, so the close today above that 50-day simple moving average does signal more upside potential. Now it needs to stay above that level. That's at 36.60. If it were to drop below that level, it would likely come back down and test that middle Bollinger Band. As long as the middle Bollinger Band, which is also the 20-day simple moving average, holds, a new uptrend should begin. If you look back here in August, the candles were trading below the dotted purple line when MJ was in a downtrend. And then when it closed above the dotted purple line here on the 15th of August, that was the signal that a new uptrend was starting. That level held. Many times they'll pull back, test support. It held, and then uptrend started. And so that's what you're looking for here. At some point, they're going to more than likely pull back and test that middle Bollinger Band. They could keep taking it higher, but usually you will test support. And so at some point, and so you just have to be on the lookout for that. Keep an eye on the intraday charts. When the 15-minute chart breaks down, that'll be your first clue that it could pull back. Now going for the upside, what you're looking for now is a break above the previous consolidation area. And so that's going to put it up here around 38. You have this 37.50 to 38 level. You could see here there was a sideways channel between once it got up here and it made the high in September, it came down, had the sideways channel, double topped. You have the double top here, up here at this high at 43, and then it pulled back. And so now this 37.50 to 38 level is going to be a big level to break. What was once support does turn into resistance. Okay, so keep that in mind. And so yeah, so big volume spike. If you look down here, there was bullish crossovers on MACD, and that also signals the possible start of a new uptrend. You can see that there was a bearish crossover, and that signaled the start of the downtrend. The 8, 13, and 5 will signal more frequently, but you can see the 12, 26, and 9. This is the first bullish crossover since the bearish crossover. The last time that there was a bullish crossover like this was back here, or you could go, back to here, and that was the start of the previous big run. Okay, so now let's look at TLRY. TLRY was the big winner today. It closed up 30%. It started fading a little bit early in the morning. It was stronger than all the other cannabis sector stocks from the get-go. And then when it pulled back, when some of them did turn red today, it looked like it could consolidate, but it started heading back higher. And everything was on the bounce before the news came out with sessions. Everything had rebounded intraday and was starting to turn back up. And so as you can see here, you have RSI back above 50 at 58. You want to see it stay above 50 and in the bull zone. Check out how TLRY cruised above 70 for an extended period of time. So there's a lot of juice in the tank here. Same thing with Fasto at 73. Also look at plus DI. It's down here at 35. It just crossed over. That's a pretty low level for compared to how high it ran in the previous breakout. You could see plus DI had doubled from here in the previous run. So it's all signs that it's just getting going. Once again, you do have the multiple green candles in a green volume bars in a row. It is up 6 days in a row here, and so you have to always be on the lookout for it taking a pause. Today there was a bullish close above the 50-day simple moving average in the middle Bollinger Band, and so you want to see those levels turn into support. Basically, you want to see it hold 120. If it dropped below 120, that 50-day simple moving average, that would signal downside risk. You can see the middle Bollinger Band is basically at 122 there, 121.97. Now to the upside, check out the descending resistance line here. It closed right at descending resistance. So it's going to need to break above this 140 resistance zone to head higher. A close above that 140 level would be bullish, and that would put this high close level on deck. You can see where it stalled out here at right about 165. That'll be a huge level. If it can get back above 165, then you have the high close up here on the 200s back on deck. If it fails to close above this 140, then it's still within this previous channel, and it's just hitting the top, and you can see the bottom of the channel is back down here at 80. That's the downside risk. If it was to drop back below that 50-day simple moving average, it could come back down there and test the bottom of the channel. So it's very important that it holds that 120 support zone. Check out the green dots here. This is parabolic SAR. SAR stands for stop and reverse. You can see the green dots flip below the candles. So now below the candles, that's signaling the possible start of a new uptrend. You could see down here when the dots were above the candles, and then they flip below, and then that signaled the start of this push. So that's what we have going on here: above, below, possible new push higher. Same thing with MACD. The 8, 13, and 5 MACD bull crossed last week, and then now you have, I guess it did start on maybe Friday or Monday here, and then we have a pinched with just starting to cross, setting up to cross here on the MACD 12, 26, and 9. So if it can go positive here on the histogram, and then you have the black line, the MACD line, crossing over that signal line, that's going to signal the possible start of a new uptrend. Okay, let's look at TLRY here on the 15-minute chart. You can see how it busted out above all the moving averages. It was really consolidating in the 90s here, and then once it got above that 200-day simple moving average here on Monday, that was a signal that it was really heating up. Then it got above the 300-day simple or 300 simple moving average, the blue line, and then on Wednesday here, it got above the black line, the 400 simple moving average. Now it's above all the moving averages. It pushed really hard above EMA4. If you see EMA4 134 at currently at 137 break. That'll be your signal that it's cooling down and that it could possibly consolidate. Check out how the volume just poured in. It just built all the way up into the close. Okay, and keep in mind most of these were trading higher in after hours this evening. Okay, and let's check out CGC here, Canopy Growth, the #1 cannabis company in the world. Yeah, they have been on a sweet run, closed up 8% today. You have RSI back above 55, back above 50. So here at 55, it's back in the bull zone. Fasto's back above 50. So you want to see both of those stay above 50. You have the bull cross here on 80X. We just talked about that. Notice all the green volume bars in a row. I mean, this is a huge run. It's up 7 days in a row. So you have to always be on the lookout for it taking a pause. The big level tomorrow, it's going to be all about this green line. The 50-day simple moving average at 46.83. Closing above that level will signal more upside potential, and that's going to put these previous resistance levels back on deck. And then failing to break that 50-day simple moving average, that would be a red flag signaling downside risk. It's going to need to break above that level to get pushing higher. It's going to be real important. If it fails to break that 50-day simple moving average, that could signal a temporary top after this multi-day run, and then it could come down here and test the middle Bollinger Band. As long as that middle Bollinger Band currently at 42.93 holds, a new uptrend should begin, but it does have to break above that middle Bollinger Band. This is the first close above the middle Bollinger Band since back here on the 17th of October before the big drop. So this is signaling that the chart's really heating up, similar to back here. You can see in August and notice how they had the shakeout and then they really took it running again. So you could have some funny games here. You have to, nothing goes straight up. All right, so just keep that in mind. Every day that it's up another day is going to be one day closer to where it's going to be pulling back and taking a breather. So just keep that in mind. You just want to see the middle Bollinger Band hold on these stocks and ETFs and see the new uptrends begin. That's going to be the big thing. And then get above that 50-day simple moving average. Bullish stocks trade above the middle Bollinger Band and above the 50-day simple moving average on the daily chart. And so that's when you know you have a good uptrend. That's when you can get a good multi-day run going. Okay, let's look at Cronus Group here. Currently up 8.4%. Yeah, this has the same type of setup. It's above 50 on RSI and Fasto. You want to see it stay above those levels. You have the bull cross on 80X with plus DI above minus DI and 80X. Once again, you have the multi-day run. I mean, they really walked this up on low volume. Nobody, has been believing in the bounce. And then today, the sessions thing, I think, really got people going. Yesterday, there was a close above the middle Bollinger Band, and that was the signal of the possible start of a new uptrend. And so keep in mind, anytime that you load on a break above the middle Bollinger Band, it's a good entry point if support holds. Okay, if the stock's been trading below for an extended period of time, now you could get shook out, like right here, where it dropped below the middle Bollinger Band, and then it closed above, but it failed to hold, and then this was your signal to exit because it got back below. So as long as it holds this middle Bollinger Band, that'll signal more upside potential. So that anybody that loaded yesterday, that was still a good technical trade to make because it did break resistance, similar to back here. You could see it was trading below the middle Bollinger Band, and then when it finally traded above, that signaled the start of the run. And so if you loaded on this day, you had the really good low entry point. And so that's the same thing. If this does turn into a good run, yesterday was a good entry point. Now, of course, it would have been way better if you loaded down here at the bottom. You could see it was very low volume. People weren't really believing much in the bounce, but it did bounce off of that 300-day simple moving average. And if that level holds when it's tested on a pullback, it's always a good re-entry point. So keep that in mind for future reference. Now, going forward, it has to break above the 50-day simple moving average. That's the green line at 1022. If it stalls out at that level, it could come back and test the middle Bollinger Band. There might be a middle Bollinger Band support test for these stocks before they get another breakout higher. You're going to know whether or not they're going to come back and test support by whether or not they can get above that 50-day simple moving average. Most of them have the same type of setup. Okay, so yeah, once again, you've got the bullish crossovers here on MACD, and so that's signaling the possible start of a new uptrend. And then you have the PSAR bull flip. The green dots are now below the candles. Okay, let's look at ACB here. This is Aurora Cannabis, closed up 9%. So yeah, another nice move here, breaking above 50 on RSI, so you want to see it stay above 50 now. You want to see Fasto get above 50 to signal the bulls are taking control. Now look at ADX here. It's pinched. You can see the green line, the black line, and the red line are all converging at the same level. You want to see the green line break above both of the other lines and start heading higher. That'll be a signal that the bulls have taken control. Now it's up multiple days in a row with a nice volume spike today, and it is hitting the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-day simple moving average. And so this 830 resistance zone is the key level to break. Once above that middle Bollinger Band and 50-day simple moving average at 836, that's going to be your signal. Okay, it's okay, possible start of a new uptrend. It has to close above that level. If it stalls out at that level, it could come back down and test EMAs 4, 8, and 13. Right now, you have multiple moving averages just all converged here. You have 5 moving averages all at the same level. If it were to drop below the bottom moving average that are converged here, the 100-day simple moving average at 719, that would signal downside risk. The bounce is broken. As long as that level is holding, it should continue to bounce. Now it has to get above that 50-day simple moving average and middle Bollinger Band to get an extended move going. So keep that in mind. And yeah, it has the PSAR bull flip. You have the big volume spike. It hasn't quite crossed over on the 12, 26, and 9, and so it needs to cross over. It did start already on the 8, 13, and 5. So as you can see, Aurora Cannabis is a little bit behind the other stocks. If they continue to head higher, Aurora Cannabis should follow. One of the games you can play when a sector is running, you'll have sector leaders that will be breaking out first and heading higher, and then you'll have laggards that are trailing behind, and one strategy is to try to jump in the laggards for the catch-up. And so, yeah, if you miss the boat on one of these stocks, don't fret. There are other stocks that are setting up and ready to go. We've been posting lots of those stocks in the chat. So if you'd like to come check out the marijuana chat, I'll post the link at the end of the video. All right, thanks for viewing.